Welcome back to Daily Dose of Space. For most of human history, planets were simple. There were a few of them, all orbiting our sun, each following predictable paths: solid worlds, gas giants, icy bodies at the edge of the system. For a long time, we assumed planets everywhere in the universe would look more or less the same. But then we started looking beyond our solar system. And what we found changed everything. Tonight, we're going to explore the strangest planets ever discovered, real worlds, confirmed by observations that challenge our understanding of physics, climate, and even what a planet is supposed to be. Some of these worlds are so extreme that they barely seem real. But they are out there, orbiting distant stars, quietly existing in ways we never imagined. Planets that should not survive. The first shock came when astronomers discovered something called hot Jupiters. These are gas giants larger than Jupiter, orbiting incredibly close to their stars. So close that a year on these planets can last just a few Earth days. Before their discovery, scientists believed gas giants could only form far from their stars, where it's cold enough for massive atmospheres to accumulate. Our own Jupiter fits that model perfectly. Hot Jupiters break it completely. Some of them orbit so close that their atmospheres are being stripped away by stellar radiation. Temperatures can reach thousands of degrees. In some cases, these planets are literally losing their atmospheres into space, leaving behind long, comet-like tails of gas. And yet, they survive. Their existence forced scientists to rewrite theories of planetary formation. Either these planets formed far away and migrated inward in violent gravitational dances, or our models were missing something fundamental. This was only the beginning. Because once we accepted that planets could exist in places they shouldn't, the universe started showing us worlds that feel even more unreal. Worlds of fire and metal. Some exoplanets are so close to their stars that their surfaces are likely oceans of molten rock. One of the most famous examples is a class of planets known as lava worlds. These planets are tidally locked, meaning one side always faces the star, while the other remains in eternal darkness. On the day side, temperatures can be hot enough to melt rock, not ice, not metal. Rock! In these extreme conditions, even the atmosphere behaves differently. Instead of water clouds, these planets may have clouds of vaporized minerals. Winds could carry elements like sodium, silicon, and iron across the planet. On some of these worlds, scientists believe it may literally rain metal. Iron vaporizes on the scorching day side, is carried by winds to the cooler night side, and then condenses and falls as molten iron rain. This isn't science fiction. These conclusions come from spectral observations, where astronomers analyze how starlight passes through a planet's atmosphere and identify the elements present. Planets like these don't just stretch our imagination, they force us to rethink what weather even means. And yet, somehow, the universe isn't done surprising us. Planets with impossible orbits. In our solar system, planets follow relatively calm, orderly orbits. But elsewhere in the galaxy, order is optional. Astronomers have discovered planets with wildly elongated orbits, swinging close to their stars and then flinging themselves far out into cold space. On such worlds, seasons would be catastrophic. Temperatures could shift from extreme heat to deep freeze over the course of a single year. Even stranger are planets that orbit multiple stars in complex gravitational systems. Some planets orbit binary stars in stable but counterintuitive paths. Others move in tilted or even backward orbits compared to the rotation of their stars. There are planets whose orbits are so misaligned that they challenge our understanding of how planetary systems form. And then there are rogue planets. These are planets that don't orbit any star at all. They drift through interstellar space, cold and dark, ejected from their original systems by gravitational chaos. Some estimates suggest there may be more rogue planets in the galaxy than stars. Entire worlds, wandering alone through the void. And if that idea feels unsettling, the next discovery is even stranger. Planets that defy common sense. Some planets appear to have densities that make no intuitive sense. There are super-Earths that are far denser than our planet, possibly composed largely of iron. Worlds where gravity would crush the human body instantly. At the same time, there are planets with densities so low they could theoretically float in water if you could somehow place them there. These puffy planets have enormous atmospheres stretched thin by intense stellar heating. Their atmospheres are bloated to extreme sizes, making them appear much larger than they really are. In some cases, these planets are slowly evaporating, their outer layers escaping into space. We are catching them in the act of disappearing. These worlds may not last long on cosmic timescales. They exist in a brief, unstable phase, offering us a snapshot of planetary evolution mid-collapse. It's a reminder that planets are not static objects. They live dynamic, sometimes violent lives. Planets that redefine habitability. When we talk about habitable planets, we usually imagine something Earth-like: liquid water, mild temperatures, stable conditions. But the universe doesn't seem to care about our preferences. Some potentially habitable planets orbit red dwarf stars, where they are exposed to powerful stellar flares. Others are tidally locked, with one permanent day and one eternal night. Some may have thick atmospheres capable of redistributing heat, creating narrow habitable zones along the boundary between light and darkness. Others may hide oceans beneath thick ice shells, warmed from below by tidal forces rather than starlight. These discoveries suggest that life-friendly conditions may exist in forms very different from Earth. Habitability may not be rare, but familiarity might be. What these worlds tell us about the universe. The strangest planets we've discovered all share one thing in common. They exist. They don't care what we expected. They don't follow our early models. They quietly orbit their stars or drift alone through space, reminding us that the universe is far more creative than we are. Every new telescope expands this list. And with instruments like the James Webb Space Telescope, we are only just beginning to see these worlds in detail. We are learning that planets are not exceptions. They are experiments. The galaxy is full of them. And somewhere among these strange worlds, there may be planets that don't just surprise us, but force us to rethink our place in the cosmos. For a long time, we believed our solar system was a template. Now we know it's just one possibility. The universe builds planets in ways that are extreme, unstable, and sometimes almost impossible to imagine. And yet, every one of them is real. The strangest planets are not outliers. They are reminders that the universe does not owe us familiarity. And that discovery, at its best, begins with surprise.